Welcome to So You Think You Can Write, where we give serious writing critique without taking ourselves too seriously. My name is Lindsay, and with me here today is...
Melinda Carroll.
Torsha Baker.
Sandra Udall.
Okay, and I want to announce that we have a new sponsor, which is Ben Grange and the Writers Clearinghouse crew, crew of agents and editors who, former agents and editors who do manuscript evaluation, and the winner each month is going to get a first 10-page evaluation for free. So that's awesome.
Amazing.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, and I'm going to read today. You know, and I'm just not even going to explain how this goes, because if you haven't been watching the show, then shame on you, and you'll just have to catch it as we go. All right, this episode is entitled Silk. Even though nobody would guess Zith was a shapeshifter by looking at her, she still felt weird meeting people. Her family was moving less than 10 miles, but a new school equaled new people. Zith was scared. Really, it wasn't the new school and kids. It was accidentally molting at school.
That's a buzz too. You beat me to it.
Sorry. I felt like this does some good things. You know, the main character is a girl. She's going to school, so you get some sense that she's younger, but it's very repetitive. She felt weird meeting people. It equaled new people. She was moving, you know, there's 3 sentences and you're kind of restating the same thing over and over. So I don't know I think it could be tightened up so you don't have to restate the same basic idea 3 separate times.
Got it. Zith and Ezra were boarding the second load of workers. Moving to the new warehouse. Zith was getting them out of their apartments and checking them off the list, and Ezra was situating them in travel pods and loading them on the van. Black Widows, you're next, Ezra called. Hourglass Cutter lineup, you're writing in tray A14.
Okay, I think a couple things. One of them is I think this needs to be read aloud because it does not flow. And maybe it flows on the page as you read it, but it doesn't. It needs to be read aloud and adjusted so that there's flowing and not kind of tripping over things and having to reread. Anytime you have to go back and reread something, that's a problem. And there's a few grammatical inconsistencies that could be fixed. So that's the main thing. Also, there's a whole lot of wers and wases, which lets us know that it's a lot of telling. So yeah, that's mine.
Okay. Mm-hmm. They had done this so much it was rote. Her brain had plenty of space to think. 1 to a pod, Agnes. Ralph is your neighbor, not a snack. Zith nudged a glossy black widow spider into her own cubicle with a fine paintbrush. Of course, Ezra was happy. He had his summer birthday and molted at home days after his 12th birthday 2 years ago. She had a September birthday. What gift?
Okay, so I totally agree there's a lot of passive voice here with the wases, you know, was getting, say, she got them out, you know, things like that where anytime you have a lot of the was and the words, it's passive voice, and it's slowing it down, and you have a lot of extra words that's not needed. I was going to buzz this earlier on for the same reason I just buzzed it right now, though, and that is that there's a lot of telling going on here. At the beginning, we know she's a shapeshifter, but you're just telling us that. Her family is moving, you know, again, telling. Zith was scared, again, telling. I'm not experiencing these things with Zith whatsoever. And then we get down, you know, to here, and, you know, these things are happening, but I don't really know what's going on. And I feel a little lost. So
right, I'm confused with
I'm very confused.
She's like a bird or something. I just barely caught in that last paragraph.
She's a bird?
Yeah,
I thought she was a spider.
I thought she was a shapeshifter.
Oh, she is a shapeshifter.
See, there's a lot of confusion
She
here.
could be a bird and a spider.
Yeah,
she could be. So I guess what I'm saying here is you know, if I'm this confused, then perhaps we're starting at the wrong spot. perhaps there needs to be, you need to explain things in a little bit of a better way without it just telling, because, you know, like I said, there's a lot of telling here. So I know that's probably very vague in trying to get across what I'm saying. So I do apologize for that,
But it does, it puts distance, that narration puts distance between, for the reader, between that and the actual story. And whereas if you took out the words and was and just had the action play out, it will put us right in the middle of the action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Randy.
Okay, of course, Ezra was happy. He had a summer birthday and molted at home days after his 12th birthday 2 years ago. She had a September birthday. What if she molted at school? It would be like a horror flick with her cast as the monster, preserved in a YouTube video. Spider Girl molts. Real? Then she and her whole family would end up lab rats. Did you know the molt was coming before it started? Yay. It came on gradually. You'll have time to call mom or dad to pick you up before you're incapacitated, Ezra said. With my luck, it'll happen in the middle of mom and dad's presentation to the Pentagon.
Okay.
All right, comments?
Well, I mean, you give us your comments because we've given a few, so you can start us
I
off.
am really confused by it, and I'm guessing that they're spider shapeshifters. Yeah, a lot of passive language, and there's the names thrown out there. There's like Zilph and Ezra, but I don't know who they are. And Agnes and Ralph, and there's just names out there without any reference to who or even what gender they might be. And obviously Ralph, I'm guessing, is a guy, and Agnes is a girl, but I'm not sure what Zilph is. Ezra's probably a guy.
Zilph.
So, yeah, there's just these names. I don't know who they are, why they're there, they're moving, and at school. And then also, where you start the story is so important. And they're moving and at school, and I don't know that that's a key. It doesn't engage me. You know, moving isn't an engaging opening for me.
Mm-hmm.
It might be if there was less telling and you were I mean, from standing on the outside watching a bunch of students move around is boring, you know, but if you're in the perspective of a new girl who's scared this thing's going to happen to her, I think if you could get really deep into her perspective, then it might be an emotionally charged situation.
Yeah. And I've seen films that have done that, where it is moving day, right? But we're not focused on the actual moving. We're focused on the person and how it's upsetting them and how violently displaced they feel and everything, which is not what I feel when I read this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other thing too is this is obviously not real. This isn't contemporary because, you know, she's a shapeshifter and she's worried about molting and, you know, things like that. And yet it has other things in there like, oh, the Pentagon. So we know, I'm a little confused with what kind of world we're in here. Because in this, Zith and Ezra were boarding the second load of workers moving the new warehouse. And then they talk about they're moving spiders. And I'm like, wait, what? So I'm extremely confused here.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely needs some clarity. And, you know, I don't really have sensory details. I don't have, again, telling us that she's scared. I want to feel that she's scared, you know. Does she, you know, or she's shaking, or, you know, there's different things that, body cues instead of just saying she's scared.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that exact same thing. I think what was confusing is that there are things that are present day, like the Pentagon, and even school, with the idea that it's the summer birthdays, and you know, assuming that there's no school in the summer. It sounds very contemporary. And then there's these hourglass cluster lineup and tray A14 and these other references that sound very not our world, and they're kind of mashed together. So it's confusing to know.
And you can do that, but unfortunately it just wasn't executed well enough for me here.
There's some very interesting things in here that could end up being a great story, We just need them presented in a way that pulls us into it. And again, just be deep in that character's point of view so we know what
Yes.
she's feeling, what she's, instead of sitting back in the narrator's point of view and looking at it. And then, and you can do that again by taking out the was's and the words. Just get us deep into her
Giving
her point of
sensory
view.
details and
Right, what she feels, what she's thinking, more of that. And then it might start to make more sense. Those pieces might fall together if we're seeing it gradually through her
Feeling it,
eyes,
yeah.
right? And feeling it through her perspective.
Okay, should we
Yeah.
go?
That's fun. I'll start. I'm gonna give it a right. It was confusing for me, and I just don't have a sense of character. And if I was an agent, I would kick this out of the pile right away. If I don't know what's going on, I'm definitely not gonna pick it up.
I'm also going to give it a right. I think that the concept is good, that the idea that there's this girl and she's struggling with her identity is perfect for middle grade, for this, or, you know, it may be young adult, I'm not sure, but that's a very young childhood thing to experience, but I think it does need some work to be executed right.
I'm also going to give it a right for everything that has been said and for what I said already. And I also agree that this is an interesting story and interesting concept. So once you nail down all of those elements that we're talking about, I think it's going to be a really cool read. So keep at it.
Yep, I'm also going to give it a right. Again, for everything that we've already said.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Did we get it right? Leave a comment if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. What do you think about Melinda being on the show and Sandra? And until next time, get ready.
Get set.
Right?
All right, I hope you enjoyed the episode. And don't forget that we have a new sponsor this year. Our friend Ben Grange with Writers Clearinghouse is offering all the prize support for this year. And the winner each month will get a first 10-page manuscript evaluation for free.
Yep. And then the winner of the full year is going to get a full manuscript critique.
Wow.
From agents and editors, guys. These are top guys.
That have worked in the industry and really know their stuff. I mean, that's big. Okay, and then you can find out more about Ben Grange and the Writers Clearinghouse at www.writersch, as in clearinghouse, writersclearinghouse.com.